Okay, welcome to this week's episode of Love Subbin. And as you can see here in Vermont,
it's fall.
We've got pumpkins, it's fall, and this could be a winterization video, but it is not.
We're so happy because we're going out again for some cold weather camping.
Yeah, it's going to be actually in the teens, I think, on Friday. So we're going to do some cold weather camping and then hopefully head out and keep going for a fall trip.
We'll see what happens.
And that kind of thought about bringing up our checklists, our departing and arriving checklists.
Well, we're only going to do the departing on your side.
Right. And we thought it worked out pretty good because I've sent a lot of these things out in the mail for people who have requested them. But we've just gotten our website up and going.
Yay!
And now you can download these for free, as well as learning a little bit about ourselves and who we are and what we do, getting some of Cindy's recipes, stuff like that. So definitely check out the website. But for today, I'm going to talk a little bit about why we have the checklist. We're not going to run through every single, let's see,
item on our departure. You're going to do your departure checklist.
Right, there's 15 individual items and then 27 to hitch up. So we're not going to run through all those. We'll show you some highlights, talk a little bit about the things that we do, and
go from there.
Go from there. Checklists from Love Subbin.
Hope you enjoy the video.
All right, let's get into the checklists themselves. I've laminated them at Staples, so that when it's raining they don't get super wet, and of course I hang them from this lanyard, and that's so that I can just keep them with me at all times.
But you hung them upside down so that you can pick them up.
Exactly. As you can see here, they're hung upside down so that when I read them they're right side up. So it's just a little trick if ever you decide to do these things. So a lot of the items, as you can see if you logged onto the page, are pretty simple, like extending the tow mirrors. This might be something that I might forget at something like that. Doing the backup camera, cleaning its lens, etc. So let's go ahead and do a few of these things. And one of the great things about the checklist is it reminds you to do some of the stuff you might easily forget. For example, you can see the love truck's pretty filthy right now, and that backup camera is really messed up. So one of the items on the checklist is to Windex the backup camera, and that makes backing up and hitching up so much more easy. All right, item number 11 is to turn off the LP gas, and we don't drive with the LP gas on. I know a lot of people do, and if you want a little bit more of the reasons why, you can check out this video here where we talk about why we don't really need it for our fridge. But the primary reason is that it's against the law to have an open flame anywhere 20 feet within a fuel pump, and I just am too lazy to get in, turn off my fridge every time I pull into a gas station, and then turn everything back on afterwards. So
plus we don't keep a lot of stuff in our fridge anyway. We put things in coolers.
Check out that video. Cindy did a real nice job of how we travel with the fridge. At the same time, I'm also checking to make sure that things are tight with the propane tanks. All right, items number 8 and 9 have to deal with our awning. So I'm going to check the wheelies, and I'm not going to use the zippy thing. I'm going to physically check to make sure my travel lock is in position, and I'm going to reef down on these guys with my hand to make sure that they are also tightened down. Finally,
and you have this nice stool to help you do that, right?
Yes.
It's a nice folding stool.
Yeah, I would recommend a folding stool like this with everybody. And finally, I'll attach a piece of Velcro to the awning arms, and it's not really to keep it from falling down or anything. It's really just to keep these things from rattling. And if you want to check out our awning video, we have a whole bunch of tips on the zippy awnings, including the Velcro. So on any travel days that has been a couple of days, I will go ahead and manually check the tire pressures. And it's really, I do this for two reasons. A, obviously I don't want to be all hitched up ready to go, turn on my tire pressure monitoring system and see that I'm low. So this gives me a chance to fill them up beforehand. And most importantly, it gets me up close to the tire, and I can actually check the condition. I can look for cracks, I can check the tread, do all that other stuff. So let's go ahead and check the pressures of the tire.
And what do you set your tire pressure at?
What are you trying to start a fight on the internet? But seeing that Cindy brought it up, I set it at the sidewall pressure. And for all of those of you that are going to comment and say that that's a maximum pressure, fine. You can set it wherever you want. I set it at 65 psi because it's actually an action verb. It says inflate to 65 psi for maximum load. So it's telling me to inflate it to 65. That's what I'm going to do. But more importantly, I have 18 years of towing without any blowouts, without any deflations, without any incident with my tire whatsoever. 78,000 miles, and
That's how you roll.
that's how I roll. If you think, now if you want to follow Goodyear's charts, hey, all the power to you. It says that my tires are supposed to be at 23 psi.
That sounds a little flat to me.
That sounds totally flat. So if you want to roll that way, you roll that way. I'm not going to do it.
Well, what did the tire pressure come out to?
Well, it came out to 60, okay? And remember, you lose 2 psi for every 10 degrees of temperature.
It's about 50 degrees outside right now.
So the cold temperature has to be at a standard, so I use 68 degrees or 70. So we've lost 4 psi due to the temperature. So 61, that's pretty dang stinking close to 65 at 70, if we were at 70 degrees. So also, sticking with the tires and the wheels, item number 7 is to check the Airstream's lug nuts, and I'll do that 2 different ways. Once a month, I'll set my torque wrench to 85 pound-feet, which is what's in my specification. And I'll go ahead and make sure they're properly torqued to 85 pound-feet.
Do you do that in a certain order, or is you just go around the edge of the...
Yep, good question. I do it in the star pattern, so it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like that. And I know I've mentioned this before, I am the only person to torque these lug nuts. No mechanic will ever torque them with an air hammer. I torque them simply with a torque wrench.
Now, why is that?
Because I want to make sure they're at 85 pound-feet. If somebody puts a air gun and tightens them, you don't know how tight those went to if they went over 85. When I do this, all this is telling me is that it clicked at 85 pounds. So if it's actually torqued to 100, it's still going to click at 85 pounds. And I'm going to be lulled into a sense of thinking that my things are torqued properly when they're actually over torqued. This will tell you if you're under torqued, it won't tell you if you're over torqued.
Good point.
So then, that's once a month. So the other times, when I'm just getting going for the day, all I'm going to do is my small little wrench, and all I'm doing here is just getting a feel for it to make sure that they're not loose. So this is going to be way less than 85 pound-feet, and all I'm going to do is take it and just make sure.
You're just going to try each one and just see it.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. You know, if I towed yesterday, or even within a week. I only use the torque wrench once a month, but before every single tow, I'm going to just check to make sure that they're not loose and continually inspect my tires. So I am not going to go through our hitching procedure, which is items 1 through 19 on the checklists, because that is shown in this video here. We did a lot of stuff with the hitching safety. So definitely check out that video. I think I've got some good tips. I do some pretty crazy stuff to ensure the safety of our hitch up operation. So you can check that out. So we'll start after the rig is all hitched up. Item number 20. I'm surprised I never get a question on this. Of all the checklists I've sent out, it says check all window soldiers are at attention. And that's these little guys here.
Those are the hooks on the window.
Yep, and so to make sure that those are all latched and standing straight up. And I got an interesting tip from a viewer who also goes around pushing these to make sure that they're not loose, because they could be up at attention, but the adjustment is bad. And so usually I'll just make sure they're at attention and give it a quick little push.
And it's part of my checklist inside to make sure that those are also latched as well.
Exactly. So one great little tip, because you all see, sometimes you leave a campground and it says, is your antenna up? Well, our antenna is never up, because item number 21 is to step back, which I always do, and make sure the bathroom vent is down, the 2 fantastic fans are down. We've never actually raised the TV antenna, so that's never up. But just to make sure everything on the roof looks good. Item 21.
That's part of my interior checklist as well, is to make sure from the inside those things happen.
Exactly. You know, I've had some people joke around about my checklist and say, dude, you know, you're not a 747 captain. You don't need to be that anal about doing things. And I disagree. You know, it's the way we do things, it's the way we operate, and I like to go through every one of them. But this part here does remind me of being an airline pilot, because the last item before we get going here, item number 22 is to perform the final walk around. And by that, I pull and I tug and I check everything. So I'm making sure these little guys are latched. I'm pulling this guy, I'm pulling this guy, I'm doing this number here. Just like an airline pilot would do. I've heard on the, if you guys are on the internet, people have had these things come off, they've had these things come off. I don't even know how these things can come off, but I've heard about it. So I'm pulling and I'm tugging everything that I can as I do my walk around.
So I want to get in this video too. One of the things that are on my checklist, and it overlaps with his, is we make sure this step goes up. All right, I'm having to talk over a leaf blower here.
Yeah, the sounds of Vermont in the fall.
Exactly. The last thing we do besides the step is making sure the door is locked, and we have a double bolt. So the top one goes this way, and the bottom one goes that way. And then I pull on it, make sure everything is locked.
Well, there you have it, our exterior departing checklist.
Yes, and,
So-
we have an interior departing checklist as well, which will be featured in a later video.
And we may even do the arrival ones as well, but we're definitely got them here. And don't forget, these things are for free. You can download them.
On our website.
And definitely the whole point is not to use these particular, because they may not apply to your rig. Make sure you change them up.
Customize them for your needs.
Exactly, because some things may not make sense to you, some things may not make sense to your rig. So, but they've been used since 1992. Cindy's parents developed them, so they've got almost 30 years of development behind them. So I think they're pretty good, and we hope you find them useful as well.
Exactly. So if you like this video, give us a big thumbs up.
And if you think we've earned a subscription, click that subscribe button.
And comment below if you have some things that you do before you tow off.
And we come out with Airstream and RV related videos every Tuesday.
Thanks for watching.